Do you believe, we get this idea sometimes that when we read the Bible that there's certain, that it was just all pretty flowery. Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. As Mary sticks her head out and goes, No, I believe she was overwhelmed with emotional confusion. She was overwhelmed with spiritual confusion. Jesus, this is our brother, Lazarus. You know him, you love him, and Lord, if you had been here, he would not have died. Can you hear the spiritual confusion? Can you hear the emotional confusion? Just in your sanctified imagination, just try to imagine that she was overwhelmed with emotion. She was overwhelmed with confusion. And then she says in verse 22, her faith speaks out, but even now I know that whatever you ask of God, God will do it. Jesus said to her, your brother will rise again. And Mary said to him, I know that he will rise again in the resurrection of the last day. And Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, though he may die, he shall live. Whoever lives and believes in me shall never die. Do you believe this? And she said to him, yes, Lord. I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, who has come into the world. And when she had said these things, she went her way and secretly called Mary, her sister, saying, the teacher has come and is calling for you, Mary. As soon as she heard that, she arose quickly and came to him. Now Jesus had not yet come into the town, but was in the place where Martha met him. Then the Jews who were with her in the house and comforting her, when they saw that Mary rose up quickly and went out, they followed her, saying, oh, bless her heart, she's going to the tomb again to weep. And verse 32, then when Mary came where Jesus was and saw him, she fell down at his feet, saying to him, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. You see, they felt like it was over. They both said the same thing. Lord, if you would have been here. Lord, if you would have been here. I asked the question today, where is God in your confusion? Where is God in your confusion? When you are spiritually confused, that what you have always believed to be true about God doesn't seem to be matching up with what you're feeling, what you're seeing, and what you're experiencing, you're spiritually confused. And they were spiritually confused because all that they had ever known about Jesus, all that they had ever seen about Jesus was contradicting what they are experiencing right now. So it's over. It's over. It's not over. It's not over. What's the saying? Yeah, you know the saying. It's not over till the fat lady sings. I made the mistake of telling my 6-year-old that at one of our church softball games. Yeah, I learned my lesson. Here's exactly what happened. We were playing. I remember the church. I remember the spot on the bleacher where I was sitting. David said, are we winning? I said, no, but son, it's not over till the fat lady sings. And you know what he did? At the top of his lungs, he looked around and he said, which fat lady? Literal David. You would think I would learn, and I have not. It's rough. It's not over until Jesus says it's over. And so Jesus said, I am the resurrection and the life, and I'm still living, so there's still hope for Lazarus. I want you to know that if you feel like you've come to the end of something, listen, if there's still breath in your lungs, there's hope for you. You're saying, well, Pastor Joe, you don't know what I've been through and what I've experienced. Listen, if you are here today and you're listening, which if you're sitting right there like in front of me, then you are here and you are listening, and this makes sense to you, I want you to know that there's hope for you. Don't give up. It's not over until Jesus says it's over. I'm talking about your marriage to some of you. You think it's over. It's not over until Jesus says it's over. Some of you are thinking about your adult kids. They've grown up and they've gone in a direction that you just did not think they would ever even think of going. I want you to know it's not over till Jesus says it's over. Thinking about your health. Don't give up. Trust God, because I believe with all my heart, and I know you do too, that God is the God who still is on the throne. He's still a miracle-working God, and he is a God who still heals people, not just from their sins, but also from their sicknesses when he wants to. So don't forget that. It's not over till Jesus says it's over. And it wasn't over. And so they went to the tomb. He said, where have you laid him? Well, Jesus knew that. And they said to him, Lord, come and see. And Jesus wept. He wept because of the compassion he had for others who were weeping. He wept because of a lot of reasons we probably do not know, but we can speculate. Maybe he wept because he didn't really like the idea of bringing Lazarus back to a sin-filled world. Maybe he wept because of others and their hurt, and he can read their emotions. He doesn't need to hear what they're feeling. Counselors ask, how do you feel about that? Jesus never has to ask, how do you feel about that? He knows how you feel, and he cares about every feeling that you have. Some of them said, well, could not this man who have opened blind eyes also have kept him from dying? Jesus, again groaning in himself and his spirit, came to the tomb. He said, take the stone away. Martha, the sister of him who is dead, said to him, Lord, can I talk to you for a minute? It's been 4 days. If we remove that stone, it's going to stink. He said, take the stone away. Verse 40, did I not say to you that if you would believe, you would see the glory of God? You see, sometimes your situation has to get even more stinky for you to really believe. There are people who really don't believe that Jesus died. I believe that's one of the reasons God let him stay there in that tomb for 3 days and 3 nights. And yet still people don't believe. Jesus could have been in that tomb outside of having to fulfill prophecy. He could have been in that tomb for weeks, and there still would have been people who would have come up with a way to try to deceive people into thinking he really didn't die. Jesus will do, and he will go to whatever length and whatever extreme that we think it is to convince us that you can trust him today. And don't ever think that it has gotten as bad as it can get, because if you're not ready to trust him and you're not ready to believe them, then get ready. He's going to do whatever he has to prove himself to you. And it may make you angry. You may get mad at God. You may say, I can't believe God's let me go through this. He's doing it for a reason. God always has a plan. The last thing I want us to write down, and we'll wrap it up with this, is that God's timing is always perfect. Don't quit. I want to share with you a funny poem that I think was written by James MacDonald. It's kind of a silly poem about quitting. Just listen. It's about 2 frogs. It's not a true story. Just for those of you who are, okay. 2 frogs fell into a can of cream, so I've heard it told. The sides of the can were shiny and steep. The cream was deep and cold. Oh, what's the use, croaked frog number 1. 'Tis fate, no help's around. Goodbye, my friends, goodbye, cruel world. Weeping still he drowned. Frog number 2 was of sterner stuff. He dog-paddled in surprise. All while he wiped his creamy face and dried his creamy eyes. I'll swim a while, at least, he said. It really wouldn't hurt the world if one more frog were dead. An hour or 2 he kicked and swam. Not once did he stop to mutter. He kicked and swam and kicked, and then hopped out via butter. Some of you will get that maybe about this time next week. There is something to be said about giving up on yourself and giving up on God and saying it's all over. You see cream, when you churn it, it makes butter, and then you can hop out of it. Okay, all right. I guess for some of you there really isn't any hope. Okay, all right. God's timing is always perfect, but his timing will not be revealed to us. If we give up, we'll clock out before he shows up. And so here Jesus did come to them, but because he had a plan. His plan was they're going to see the glory of God, and they're going to see the glory of God unless I raise Lazarus from the dead, and I'm not going to raise Lazarus from the dead unless I let him die. So he lets him die, and then he raises him from the dead right on time. His timing is always perfect. Sometimes God makes us wait. Oh, man, I'm just going to say it, and you guys just amen it. I don't like to wait, and all God's people said.